At Adan Abdullah Airport in Mogadishu, it's busier than usual. Dozens of Somalis who have US visas and others traveling on temporary US travel documents are frantically trying to get back to the United States.
These are very desperate people, but I'm sure they are resilient enough that if they are unable to get into the United States, they will ultimately make a life for themselves. Somalis do not easily give up on life.
Turkish Airlines is the only international airline with flights to and from Mogadishu. Most passengers therefore transit through regional travel hubs in Nairobi, Kenya, and Addis Ababa in Ethiopia. Although the Trump order does not mention any action towards immigrants currently living in the United States, some Somalis fear deportation. Somali-born US citizen Liban Mohammed has just landed in Mogadishu.
I can only speak for Somalis living in Minnesota, and I would tell you there is a lot of fear, not among the US citizens of Somali origin, but those still going through the asylum process.
Their fears are valid. The Trump administration started deporting people to Somalia just days after his inauguration. At least 90 people were deported from the United States to Somalia last week after spending time in prisons and detention centers.
يجد ترامب من يذكره بحدود القوة. أن تكون رئيسا لا يعني أن أمرك التنفيذي لا يرد حتى لو عدل.
Almost as soon as the ink had dried on President Trump's executive order, it was being appealed. Lawyers were camped out at airports. A number of different cases have come before the court. The first prevented US immigration officials from deporting anyone who'd come to the US from those 7 countries or as a refugee since the ban took effect. But it didn't take long for lawyers to challenge the executive order more widely, and cases have been filed from coast to coast. A court in Massachusetts temporarily halted President Trump's executive order, allowing those affected to fly to the US again. But then a week later, in a victory for President Trump, the same court ruled that that travel ban was back on. But it only took a day for the executive order to be blocked again, this time by a court in Seattle. Lawyers there argued that President Trump's travel restrictions would hurt their economy because they relied so heavily on immigrants.
The law is a powerful thing. It has the ability to hold everybody accountable to it, and that includes the President of the United States.
President Trump has been tweeting his support for his law, and his administration say they'll fight all these legal challenges.
And it's just frustrating to see a federal judge in Washington state conducting American foreign policy or making decisions about our national security.
So we can expect these court rulings to go backwards and forwards. Whoever's on the losing side is likely to appeal, and so on.
I'm establishing new vetting to keep radical Islamic terrorists out of the United States of America. We don't want them here.
What do we want? Justice! When do we want it? Now!
This protest, I have to point out, has really grown in size. Hundreds of people out here peacefully protesting.
We will not turn away children. We will not turn away children. We will not turn away families. We will not turn away families. No bans, no bans, no bans.
The power of the people is greater than the people in power.
If many Muslims actually support extreme vetting, including our next guest, here to explain, co-founder of the Muslim Reform Movement, Asra Nomani. Asra, good to have you here this morning.
Thanks so much, Abby.
So we can just pull up that Quinnipiac poll, for example, just to show that 48% of Americans support this refugee ban that is now put in place. You're a Muslim, and you say it's not just Americans. Muslims also support this. Why do you support it?
Well, you know, Abby, I came to America in the summer of 1969 as a 4-year-old. I was joining my parents from India. And in these years since, in these decades since, what I have witnessed and experienced firsthand is an extremism inside my Muslim community that has spilled blood from San Bernardino to Orlando. We have a crisis. We are facing an ideological war of our generation.